Open the gate. The dragon must feed. I'm not alone.
What if the sacrifice one was never meant to die? Rain crashed over the kingdom of Calvaran as thousands of frightened citizens stood shoulder to shoulder around the ancient execution square. No one spoke above a whisper. Every face was fixed on the towering black mountain beyond the city walls. Its peak vanished inside endless storm clouds, where blue lightning flashed without making a sound. For 1,000 years, the kingdom had lived under a single terrifying law. Every 50 years, one living soul had to be sent into the mountain. The void dragon always accepted the sacrifice, and the kingdom always survived. No one knew why. No one dared to ask. At the center of the square stood a young human girl named Elena. She looked painfully ordinary, only 20 years old. Slim, quiet, small enough to disappear among the armored alien guards surrounding her. Heavy iron chains hung from her wrists, yet she stood straighter than many warriors. Rain soaked her dark cloak while strands of chestnut hair clung to her face. Her blue-gray eyes never left the distant mountain. The crowd watched in silence. Some pitied her. Others believed sacrificing a human was the safest choice. The emperor slowly stepped onto the stone platform, wearing black ceremonial armor that reflected the storm. His cold voice echoed across the square. Today, our people live because one outsider will take our place. Not a single noble objected. Not a single royal volunteered. Elena lowered her eyes for only a moment. She remembered another storm years earlier. A lonely little girl. No family. No home. The same kingdom had taken her in, fed her, raised her. Now it had chosen her to die. The commander tightened the chains around her wrists. Walk. She obeyed without a word. As the soldiers escorted her toward the enormous mountain gate, something impossible happened. The ancient blue stones lining the old road began glowing, one after another, like stars waking from a long sleep. The oldest priests froze. Their faces lost all color. One elderly priest stumbled forward, staring at Elena as though he had seen a ghost. His trembling hands reached toward the glowing stones. They've awakened. Another priest whispered nervously. That has never happened. The old priest slowly shook his head. His voice barely rose above the wind. The dragon is not waking. Fear spread across every face. Even the commander stopped walking. The old priest looked directly at Elena, his eyes filled with horror. The mountain is waking for her. A violent tremor rolled beneath everyone's feet. The giant black gate ahead groaned open by itself. Cold mist poured from the darkness beyond. The soldiers suddenly hesitated. For the first time in generations, they were afraid to enter. Elena quietly lifted her head. Instead of fear, a strange feeling settled inside her. It felt familiar, as if the mountain already knew her name. Without waiting for another order, she stepped through the ancient gate alone. The massive stone doors slammed shut behind her. The echo shook the entire valley. Outside, thousands held their breath, waiting for the legendary roar of the void dragon. Instead, from somewhere deep, beneath the mountain, a different sound answered. It was not a roar. It was the slow, powerful heartbeat of something far older than dragons. The echo of the closing gate faded into complete silence. Elena stood alone inside the endless cavern, her breathing the only sound she could hear. Soft blue crystals glowed across the ancient walls, revealing strange symbols carved long before any empire had existed. A deep growl rolled through the darkness. The ground trembled. Then another, and another. 3 enormous shapes slowly emerged from the thick mist. Each creature was larger than a battle tank. Their black fur reflected the blue, Crystal light and their glowing sapphire eyes never blinked. Massive claws scraped across the stone as they surrounded Elena from every side. She knew she could not escape. Yet she did not run. She simply stood still. The largest beast stepped closer. Its sharp teeth were longer than swords. One bite could end her life. Instead, it lowered its head. The other two followed. All three ancient Deathworld beasts knelt before the frightened human girl. Before Elena could understand what was happening, an even greater shadow moved beyond them. The cavern became darker. A pair of enormous glowing blue eyes opened in the distance. The legendary void dragon slowly revealed itself. Its obsidian scales shimmered like a night sky filled with stars. Every step shook the mountain. Elena expected the dragon to attack. Instead, the giant creature stopped only a few steps away. It stared into her eyes. Ancient symbols across the cave walls suddenly burst with brilliant blue light. A forgotten language echoed through the cavern. The dragon closed its eyes. Then, with calm respect, it lowered its colossal head before Elena. Far outside the mountain, the emperor celebrated what he believed was a successful sacrifice. He never noticed the sky changing. Dark clouds began spinning above the mountain. Blue light exploded through the storm. Then 4 gigantic shadows started walking toward the kingdom. Part 3. Morning light struggled through the dark storm clouds as the people of Calvoran gathered outside the palace. The emperor stood proudly on the highest balcony, convinced the ancient ritual had saved his kingdom once again. Then every celebration stopped. The ground began to shake, slow, heavy. Steady footsteps echoed across the valley. A thick wall of silver mist rolled toward the city gates, swallowing the old road completely. Soldiers raised their weapons. Archers pulled back their glowing arrows. Even the royal war machines turned toward the mountain. No one breathed. A single figure stepped out of the fog. It was Elena. Her chains were gone. Her clothes were torn, but she carried no wounds. She walked calmly, her blue-gray eyes fixed on the palace. Then another shadow appeared behind her. The legendary void dragon emerged from the mist. Its enormous black wings covered the morning sky. Sapphire light pulsed beneath its obsidian scales, and every step made the stone walls tremble. The crowd screamed. Before anyone could move, 3 gigantic Deathworld beasts walked silently beside Elena. They did not growl or bare their teeth. They watched the soldiers with calm, ancient eyes, standing like loyal guardians around the human girl. The emperor pointed toward Elena. Fire. Hundreds of glowing energy bolts filled the sky. Just before they reached her, the air shimmered. Every projectile vanished without a sound, as if the mountain itself had swallowed them. An elderly high priest collapsed onto his knees, tears filling his eyes as forgotten words returned to his memory. The dragon never desired sacrifices, he whispered. It waited for its guardian. Silence fell across the kingdom. Then, before every soldier, noble, and citizen, the colossal void dragon slowly lowered its head and bowed before Elena. The emperor's face turned white. He finally understood. He had sacrificed the wrong human. Part 4. Silence gripped the capital after the dragon bowed before Elena. No soldier dared to move. No citizen dared to speak. Even the storm above the city seemed to pause, as though the sky itself was waiting. The elderly high priest slowly stood, his hands shaking. There is only one place left that still remembers the truth, he whispered. Beneath the royal palace lay a forgotten chamber sealed for thousands of years. Dust covered enormous stone doors marked with the same glowing symbols that had awakened. Inside the mountain. As Elena stepped closer, the ancient seals unlocked by themselves. The doors opened. Inside rested countless crystal records untouched since the first age of Frew, the galaxy. The dragon lowered its head again while blue light flowed from its eyes into the largest crystal. The chamber came alive. A moving vision filled the room. the first humans appeared. They were not weak. They stood proudly beside the void, dragon and the ancient Deathworld beasts protecting countless worlds from creatures born in endless darkness. Earth was not an ordinary planet. It was the first Deathworld. Only those strong enough to survive its impossible storms, deadly oceans, and ruthless wilderness could become true guardians. The vision changed. Greedy empires united against humanity, fearing the Guardians' power. Earth burned beneath endless warships while the surviving dragons and beasts hid the last Guardian bloodline among the stars. The vision faded. Every person in the chamber stared at Elena. She was the final heir. The Emperor refused to accept the truth. His pride was stronger than his fear. Secretly, he activated an ancient communication beacon hidden beneath his throne. One desperate message raced across the galaxy. All fleets, come at once. Hours later, the sky above HFY cracked open. Millions of enemy warships poured from hyperspace. At their center drifted a colossal flagship carrying an emblem that made even the Void Dragon lift its head. An enemy from humanity's forgotten past had finally returned. The peaceful sky above HFY disappeared beneath endless enemy warships. Their dark hulls blocked the sunlight, casting the entire kingdom into shadow. Thousands of glowing weapons locked onto the city below. The Emperor smiled. He believed the greatest armies in the galaxy had come to destroy Elena before humanity could rise again. The flagship opened a massive transmission across every world. The last Guardian dies today. Fear spread through the streets. Families rushed for shelter while soldiers prepared for a battle they knew they could never win. Elena remained perfectly still. The Void Dragon stood beside her like an ancient mountain. Behind them, the three Deathworld beasts slowly lifted their heads toward the dark sky. Then they released a deep, powerful howl. The sound was unlike anything the galaxy had ever heard. It crossed stars. It echoed through forgotten systems. It reached worlds erased from every map. Far away, frozen planets began to crack. Volcanic worlds shook beneath rivers of fire. Ancient forests awakened after thousands of silent years. One by one, enormous guardian creatures opened their eyes. Some rose from endless oceans. Others climbed from burning mountains. Many had slept since the fall of Earth across the invading fleet. Commanders watched their sensors fail. New life signs appeared everywhere. Not hundreds, not thousands, millions. The galaxy realized the terrible truth. The Guardians had never become extinct. They had simply been waiting for their final leader. The enemy fleet fired first. A wall of brilliant energy raced toward HFY. The Void Dragon spread its enormous wings. The blast vanished against an invisible shield. Then hundreds of Guardian creatures emerged from hyperspace around the kingdom, surrounding the invading armada from every direction. Silence filled every command bridge. Even the enemy admirals stopped breathing. Deep beyond the battlefield, space itself suddenly split apart. A single golden eye slowly opened within the darkness. The Void Dragon lowered its head. For the first time in thousands of years, even it showed fear. Parties the golden eye watched from the darkness between the stars. Every Guardian became silent. Even the invading fleet stopped moving, as if time itself had frozen. Then the ancient creature emerged. It was larger than moons, covered in glowing golden scales that shone brighter than any sun. Its calm eyes looked first at the frightened enemy fleets, then at Elena. A voice echoed across space. "Last Guardian, your choice will decide the fate of every world." The Emperor laughed. "Destroy her. Finish humanity forever." His flagship fired every weapon at once. Thousands of beams crossed the sky. Elena did not move. She gently placed one hand on the Void Dragon's head. The dragon understood. Instead of attacking, it spread its wings. Every Guardian answered together. Shield of golden light surrounded the kingdom. The enemy attack disappeared without harming a single innocent life. The ancient Golden Guardian looked at Elena once more. "Will you choose revenge?" Elena remembered the people who had betrayed her. She remembered the chains, the storm, the lonely walk toward the mountain. Then she slowly shook her head. No, we protect life. We do not become the monsters we defeated. The Golden Guardian closed its eyes in approval. The Guardians moved as one. Within moments, every enemy weapon was destroyed. Every warship lost its power. Not one innocent soldier was harmed. The Emperor stood alone on the bridge of his silent flagship. Everything he had built through fear vanished before his eyes. The surviving worlds finally learned the truth. Humans had never been weak. They had always been the first. Guardians of the galaxy. Peace slowly returned. As stars filled the quiet sky once again, the Void Dragon lowered its great head beside Elena. Far beyond the edge of known space, a faint crimson signal suddenly flashed across the darkness. The Golden Guardian opened its eyes. It has awakened again. Elena looked toward the endless unknown. Their greatest battle had not been behind them. It was waiting ahead.